"You've got to be kidding me," my mom snapped, her voice sharp enough to cut glass. "Madison's the one who's always thinking of us. Why would you try to take that away from her?" I sat there, my mouth slightly open, while Madison confidently on the edge of the couch shot. "Me," a smug little smile that twisted my stomach. "My name is Samantha Myers. I'm 29 years old, and I work as a marketing consultant. To most people, I'm the reliable, level-headed one in the family, the one who gets things done without asking for applause. That's exactly why a few months ago, I left $10,000 in cash in my parents' mailbox as an anonymous gift. I just wanted to make their lives a little easier. The only person I told was my younger sister. Madison, a struggling artist who's always been the center of attention. Never in a million years did I think she'd turn around and claim the gift as her own, soaking up all the praise from my parents and everyone else. At first, I kept quiet. I told myself it wasn't worth the fight. Maybe, just maybe, Madison would confess on her own. But weeks became months, and every single family dinner was filled with gushing admiration for how generous Madison was, how lucky they were to have a daughter like her. The more they praised her, the angrier I felt. It wasn't even about the recognition, it was the fact that she let them believe a lie, while I just sat there, biting my tongue. The worst part, I had no way to prove anything. When I left the money, I didn't think it through. No camera, no note, no traceable bank transaction. Just an envelope full of cash. It was meant to be anonymous. I never thought I'd have to prove it was me. So when I finally snapped during Sunday dinner and said, "Actually, I'm the one who left the money," the entire room went still. Every eye turned to me, filled with disbelief. Madison sat frozen, her face a perfect mask of shock, like she was the one being wrongly accused. My mom spoke first, sharp and defensive. "Samantha, that's ridiculous. Why would you say something like that? We all know it was Madison. She's been so thoughtful, so grateful." My dad nodded along, looking at me like I'd just told the most absurd lie. "There's no reason to make this a competition," he added, his tone flat and dismissive. Madison played her part to perfection. "I can't believe you'd do this, Sam," she said, voice trembling like she was genuinely hurt. "I know things have been tense between us, but this..." She glanced at our parents for support, and of course, they were quick to comfort her. While I sat there in disbelief, it was maddening. She wasn't just lying, she was doubling down, and everyone was buying it. Under the table, I clenched my fists, trying to keep my voice steady. "I'm not trying to start anything," I said, my eyes fixed on Madison. "I just want the truth out. I left the money." "You're taking credit for something you didn't do, and it's not right." Madison shook her head, her expression full of disbelief and pity. "You don't even have proof, Sam," she said softly, her tone dripping with condescension. "Why would you leave cash like that? That doesn't sound like something you'd do. Honestly, it just feels like you're trying to ruin this for me because you're jealous." Those words cut deep. I saw my mom frown, as if what Madison said made perfect sense. That's when it hit me. No matter what I said, they were too caught up in their perfect image of her to even consider that I might be telling the truth. My mom sighed, shaking her head as if I were a child throwing a tantrum. "Samantha, this jealousy is getting out of hand. Madison's always been so thoughtful. Instead of being happy for what she's done, you're trying to tear her down." It's disappointing," my dad added, his voice frustratingly patronizing. "We love you, Samantha. Even if you didn't give us the money, you don't have to compete with your sister for our attention." He gave me a pitying smile, like he was doing me a favor by forgiving me for something I didn't even do. Madison sat there, looking hurt but smug, her hands folded neatly in her lap. The whole scene felt unreal, like I'd been dropped into a twisted sitcom where truth didn't matter. I couldn't take it anymore, the disbelief, the judgment, that smug look on Madison's face. I stood up, my chair scraping loudly across the floor. "You know what? You're being absolutely ridiculous," I snapped, my voice cracking from everything I'd held in. "You're so obsessed with Madison that you can't even consider she might be lying. But one day, the truth will come out, and by then, it'll be too late." I turned to Madison, still sitting like the innocent victim. "And you," I said, pointing at her, "one day you'll regret this. Maybe not now, but when you need someone to lean on, you'll realize you burned the only bridge that mattered." I didn't wait for a reply. I grabbed my bag and walked out, slamming the door behind me. I wasn't going to let them paint me as the jealous liar anymore. In the weeks that followed, everything changed. My parents and I barely spoke. Texts became rare. Calls were short and distant, like we were strangers. Madison, I didn't hear from her at all. And honestly, I didn't want to. I skipped every family gathering, finding any excuse not to go. Pretending like nothing had happened was impossible. The only person I could turn to was my best friend, Katie. One night, over a bottle of wine in her apartment, I finally broke down. "I don't know what hurts more," I told her, voice cracking, that Madison could do this to me, or that my parents were so quick to take her side. Katie didn't interrupt. She just listened, nodding, offering that warm empathy I needed. It's like all the years I spent trying to be the good daughter didn't matter. I said, "They'll always choose her." Katie squeezed my hand. "You don't deserve this, Sam. None of it. You did something kind, and they couldn't see it. That's on them, not you." Her words helped, but the ache in my chest stayed. A few months later, I visited my grandparents, hoping to find comfort, but the moment I stepped in, I sensed something was off. The warmth I expected wasn't there, just awkward nods and forced smiles. As I sat, I overheard my Aunt Linda whisper to a cousin, "It's just sad, isn't it?" You'd think Samantha could have just been happy for her sister instead of causing trouble. My stomach dropped. I turned to her, but she quickly looked away. My grandmother, sensing the tension, tried to soften things. "You know, sweetie," she said gently, handing me a plate of cookies, "Madison's been so good to your parents. It's inspiring how much she's stepped up." That's when I realized Madison hadn't just taken credit, she'd poisoned the well. She'd turned them all against me. I stayed long enough to be polite, but when I left, I had a lump in my throat that wouldn't go away, and sitting in my car afterward, I gripped the steering wheel, staring blankly. The worst part wasn't just that everyone believed her, it was that they'd made up their minds. No matter what I said, I couldn't change it. It felt like I was screaming into a void, and no one cared to listen. But as I sat there, a single thought kept playing on repeat. I needed a miracle, not just to walk away, but to bring the truth to show them who I really was. I wanted justice, what that miracle looked like. I had no idea. I had no proof. I had nothing except the hope that maybe, just maybe, something would expose Madison for who she truly was. And just as I spiraled through that thought, my phone buzzed. It was a message from Madison.